Now here, if you see, the first one is Facebook provided. Now these are the audiences which Facebook provides. Facebook course, in this video, we are going to go through audience in details. If you remember, in the last few videos, we are trying to set up our first campaign, and this is your campaign which we are trying to set up. It's all kind of saved. And if you click on campaigns here, it will go to the ad sets. This is the first ad set we are trying to create, and I'll click on edit. And this is the ad set. We said we will target only interests and behavior along with the age group. And this is the name we chose. We selected all these settings, and now we are on this particular setting tab, which is the audience. Now in Facebook, always remember, there are only 3 types of audiences you can target. Now you have to get familiar with these 3 types of audiences and understand a little bit about them before we actually target these kind of audiences. Now here, if you see, the first one is Facebook provided. Now these are the audiences which Facebook provides. Facebook provides to any advertiser. Anyone who creates an ad account and wants to run a campaign, they get this kind of audience available by Facebook. So basically, when anyone tries to set up a campaign on Facebook, Facebook provides certain kind of audiences which are available to everyone, which are called Facebook provided. These include demographics, which is age, gender, then interest and behavior. We'll go through each of them, but Facebook does provide interest and behavior type audiences. And these audiences are generally broad audiences, so they are not very specific. Let's say, for example, if I'm advertising my courses, and Facebook will not give me very specific audiences, people who are looking for a digital marketing course. Just an example. So these are broad audiences, people who are interested in digital marketing. Facebook provides audiences like people who are into digital jobs, into industries related to digital marketing maybe. And these are generally called cold audiences, because you generally, these kind of audiences, you show your ad and tell them, okay, this is my brand, this is my offer, do you want to buy? When I say they're not very efficient, it does not mean that these does not work. It just means that compared to other 2 types of audiences, they are not as efficient, which you will know in a second why. And they are scalable. Scalable meaning, okay, among the Facebook provided audiences, I will want to target people who are into industries related to digital marketing. They have huge audiences. Facebook provides huge audiences, so they are scalable. You can run as much budget as possible, and you will be, the more budget you put, the more reach you will have, the more leads or conversions you will probably have. And then the second type of audience is custom audience, which means that this is advertisers' own data. Now, custom audience in Facebook means that if I have any kind of data which is owned by me, which is related to me as an advertiser, that means custom data. For example, website and app visitors. So for example, I can connect my website using a tag to Facebook, or let's say I have email addresses of past students. I can upload that into Facebook Ad Manager, and because that will be my data, whether it's the email addresses, whether it's the people who visit my website and my app, that is my data. That's why it comes into custom data, and it's the data which advertisers own. Page engagers, similarly, if somebody has engaged with my page, because that is my data, my specific data. And CRM, if you connect your CRM to Facebook Ad Manager, because it will connect the data, your data, then as well it is custom data. Then these are warm audiences, because these kind of audiences know about my brand, right? They have interacted with my brand. That's why they're called warm audiences. They're very efficient. I mean, if you target specifically, if you know this is the audience who kind of attended my webinar last time, right? So they will be interested in my course. So these are generally warm audiences. They have intent. When I say cold and warm audiences, it's basically how much intent they already have to buy your product or service. They are very efficient and scalable with a limit. So the scale really depends on how much data you have. Let's say I have just 1,000 email addresses. Okay, my scale will be limited. Some companies have millions of email addresses of their existing customers. Okay, for them the scale will be high. So the scale is with a limit, and it completely depends on how much data and advertisers have. So basically, 2 types of audiences we came to know so far is, one is Facebook provided, the one Facebook provides for everyone. The other is custom, which is owned by the advertisers. If you are a new advertiser, you will not have any data at all. So you will just be relying on Facebook provided. And the goal always is to use Facebook provided audiences, target Facebook provided audiences, and once they visit your website and app, you basically converted them into your custom audiences. The goal is always to use Facebook provided audiences and build on your custom data, whether it's email addresses, your website visitors, or whatever. And apart from these two, there is one more called lookalike. In Google, we used to call them similar audiences. So what this does basically is, if you have any kind of data, whether you have Facebook provided data, you have found a certain combination of age, interest and behavior that really works for you, that generates good results for you, or whether you have your own custom data, let's say 10,000 email addresses. Facebook gives you an option called lookalike audiences, where you can tell Facebook, okay, this is my audience which works for me, but I have kind of reached a limit. Find me similar audiences. You basically have a limited set of audience, but you want to tell Facebook, find me similar people like them. You kind of increase your reach, right? It works for most of the advertisers. So to give you some examples, you can create a lookalike audience of people who visited my website. Okay, these are the people who visited my website. That means they are somehow interested in my brand. Find me audiences like them. Similarly, similar audiences of past students. These are the 2000 email addresses which have previously bought my courses. Find me people like them. And past customers. These are generally a cold audience because they have not interacted with your brand, because you are finding people like your warm audiences. And they are fairly efficient as well. They are somewhere in between Facebook provided and custom audiences. They are not as good as custom audiences. They are not as and they are not as broad as Facebook provided audiences, and they are scalable, because when you create lookalike audiences, we will see in the course, when you create lookalike audiences, you basically can choose how much percentage similarity you want to find. Anyways, we'll do all of this in practical and you will understand, but I just wanted to have a broad outlook about there are 3 types of audiences when it comes to Facebook. Now going back to our ad group, if you see here in the audience section, for this ad group we will choose a targeting, because we will create multiple ad groups, and this one will target 18 to 35-year-old and interest and behavior related to our courses, which we think will be interested to buy our courses. So this is the audience where we actually choose. If you go to audience, now this first section is to create new audiences, custom or lookalike. That's the 2 types. Okay. Apart from that, there is below this is the audiences, Facebook provided audience. Okay, this section is Facebook provided audiences, and meanwhile you can create your custom audiences and lookalike audiences. Now in this one we are not creating neither custom nor lookalike, so we are working only with Facebook provided audiences for this ad group. So here we go. I'll show you what all examples, what all options do you have in Facebook provided options. You can target certain locations. For example, I'll go here, let's say this campaign I want to target to Germany. I'll go to countries, then I'll go to Europe, and I'll go to Germany, and I'll select Germany, right? And it will show me, okay, this is the area I'm targeting. And apart from that, if I have to, I can also exclude locations. So for example, if I want to target Germany, but exclude, let's say, Munich. So I can go ahead and exclude Munich. So now I'm targeting whole of Germany and I'm excluding Munich. So for whatever reason, let's say I want to have a separate campaign for Munich, or I'm not operational in, my company is not operational in Munich, right? I can do that. So you have to play around a bit around here, how to include, exclude different locations. You can, when you click on browse, you don't just get list of countries, you get regions, free trade areas, and stuff like that. There's a lot of options there. You can just check there, but this is one of the ways. One more important thing you have to remember about locations is this drop pin. Let's say, for example, I don't want to target companies. I want to target, let's say, 10 kilometers around my shop. Let's say I have a particular shop or a hospital or a restaurant, and I just want to target 10 kilometers around my restaurant. I don't want to target the whole country. The most used feature in that case is the drop pin feature. Let's say, for example, I'll click on drop pin, and my restaurant is based in, let's say, Berlin, right? So I'll go here, Berlin, I'll zoom in. This is Berlin. Okay. And you can go you can zoom a lot. My restaurant is somewhere here on this junction. I can zoom as much I want, even to Strasse, which is like the street. So let's say my restaurant is here. I drop my pin here, and I'm telling Facebook that around the pin I want to target 7 miles. Okay. So this will be my targeting. So my location right now is at this pinned location, which is my restaurant, and 7 miles around it. Now this feature is very useful for example, retail businesses. You might have realized that sometimes you go to a mall, you are around the mall vicinity, and you see an offer from a shop inside the mall. Now that's what they do. They have a Facebook campaign and they pinpoint the mall, and let's say 1 mile or 2 miles around the mall, anyone in this region, they should see our ad. This really is helpful and can be used to drive physical traffic in a physical store. But in my case, I'll be targeting the whole India, let's say. So I'll go here, I'll select India. This campaign will be targeted to India, and that's it. Right, so now it will show that this is the country I'm targeting. And the next option you get in audience, this section is Facebook provided audiences, is the age group. So we mentioned that if for this particular campaign, I'll be targeting 18 to 35 year olds. So age between 18 to 35, because I know that this is the age group that usually buys my courses. So that's the age I am selecting. So now, so far what we have done is my campaign will only show in India, and it will only show to users who are 18 to 35 year old, right? And then genders, I can choose whether my campaign should target only men or women, but in my case I'll target both, so I'll say all. And then this is the section which is where you have interest and behavior. Now detailed targeting, okay, I'll click on edit. This is something you will have to get used to. When I say used to, you have to kind of play around a lot to understand what kind of options are available there. Because when you go to pitch a new client, or even if you are targeting a campaign to for a new client and you know the product, you should basically have a little bit of understanding and familiarity about all the options that are available there. Because for example, let's say an example, I'm working with Western Union and they have a particular offer which specifically is for people who are sending money from UAE to Egypt, right? Because they come up with such offers sometimes. Now, when they tell me, okay, we have to start a campaign, I know that in Facebook targeting, behavior targeting, I have an option where I can choose people who have lived in a particular country, which means when I'm targeting a campaign in UAE and I'm targeting people who have lived in Egypt, most probably they are Egyptian expats living in UAE, and those are the people who will send money to Egypt. It's just to give you an idea that you should be familiar what all options are available there. You will not remember everything, but at least you have an idea sometimes, right? Or sometimes, let's say, for example, I have an idea about people who I have a campaign about honeymoon package, and I know in Facebook I can target people who recently got married, right? Because I have been through this list, I am quite familiar. So this is where you'll have to spend some time to get familiar what all options are available there in interest and behavior. You have two options, one is suggestions and one is browse. If you select certain options, Facebook will give you suggestions to add to your target. But first I'll go to the browse. Now, if you click on browse, you have three different kind of options available as targeting, which is demographics, which is interest and behavior. If you click on demographics, it will tell you can target based on education level. So for example, people who have college degree, directorate degree, high school graduate, in college, in graduate school, in high school, master's degree, right? So for example, if you're advertising for MIT University, you'll be obviously interested to target people who are in high school graduate, right? If you are targeting, if you have a campaign for master's degree offer by MIT University, you should be targeting in grad school, people who are in grad school, right? Similarly, you have to think about, okay, what kind of audiences are available here and how can I use them. So similarly, you get options. If you see, some of the options have search option here, which means you can search for a particular thing. For example, if I want to target people who have studied in a particular school and they have mentioned that in their Facebook profile. Let's say, for example, I know that there are 10 colleges in the world who generally do digital marketing courses. For example, I can click on schools and I can search for, let's say, MIT. This is just an example. Okay, MIT Business School. If you hover your mouse here, it shows you, okay, there is almost 70 to 80,000 people. These are people who listed their school as MIT Business School to their Facebook profile. right? So you can have granular targeting. In our case, we can target certain schools which do digital marketing. After demographics, you have not just education, you have financial, let's say income, household income. This only works for US, whether they are among the top 10%, 15%, or whatever. But also there are life events, let's say away from family, away from hometown, then based on birthday, upcoming birthday. So if you have, let's say, for example, if you are a restaurant who generally hosts birthday parties, you can come here and target these people. So there are almost 62 million to 73 million people who are going to have their birthday within 1 week, because Facebook knows this. Everyone lists their date of birth on Facebook, right? And then similarly, you have friends of, long distance relationship, and new job, new relationship, newly engaged, newly married, and recently moved, and all these things. Now you have to always, when you go through the list, always think, okay, when will this be useful, right? So for example, if you are a furniture shop, you have a discount and you do free home delivery. Okay, this is probably what you will be targeting. Recently moved, people who have updated their profile within a new city in the last 6 months. If you target Berlin, and if you target this audience, people who recently moved, okay, you are good to go with the furniture shop. I cannot go through all of these. There are a lot of options. I want you to go through all of them and keep thinking about, okay, when will this kind of audience be helpful? What kind of advertiser will this be helpful for, right? And then in demographics, you then have work-based, okay, employers, industries, people who work in certain industries, right? Business decision makers, business and finance, community, company, generating 1 to 10 million, company size 1 to 10. So for example, if you're working with Monday.com, you'll be targeting employees between, let's say, 1 to 10, 100 to 500, because every company has a target audience. So if you are into software as a service, you know what kind of companies, food and restaurants. So for include cashier, server, waiter. For example, they watch content, they watch videos about this particular topic. So for example, people who are in advertising and marketing industry. So if you hover your mouse, it will show you people who have expressed an interest in or like pages related to advertising marketing, right? Similarly, you can target people who have shown interest into banking. I mean, there are a lot of options, right? Sales, retail, entertainment, shopping, family, technology. You can target people who have shown interest in computer electronics, whether it's computer hardware, software, a lot of things, right? But in our case, we'll be targeting this one, people who are interested in advertising and marketing, because I know anyone who will be willing to buy my course, they would definitely be engaging with any page or content which is related to advertising and marketing. So this in itself is good enough for me, because this audience segment globally has 465 million users, which means it's very, very broad, right? So this is good for me. So I will target people who are in 18 to 35, both men and women, and who are interested in advertising and marketing. So if you see here now, here it shows that audience definition is still fairly broad, and now it's showing that I will be able to reach 7.3 thousand to 21,000 per day, and I will generate 24 to 69 leads per day. Once you have selected certain things like advertising and marketing, you can click on suggestions and it will show you now even more options related. It will suggest based on your selection. Now see, it's showing me digital marketing. I can click on here. So these are interest, business and industry, online computing, digital marketing, social media marketing, online advertising, social media online, Instagram, advertising agency. Now you see, I just selected one option, and how many options now Facebook is suggesting me. Facebook is really good at that. Now it's showing me lead generation marketing. Now these are the people who will buy my course. People who are interested in pay-per-click marketing, people who are interested in Google Analytics, people who are interested in web analytics, people who are interested in search engine marketing. It's now showing me all the options, right? So now here, these are the things I'm targeting. If you see, within interest, advertising agency, Google Analytics, lead generation, interest, business industry advertising, interest, business industry, online computing, digital marketing, online advertising. I think now I'm good to go for this particular ad group and this audience, I'm targeting India, I'm targeting 18 to 35-year-old people, I'm targeting men and women both, and these are the interests I am targeting, right? Similarly, I'll just show you once more. If you click on browse, it's not just demographic and interest, there is something called behavior as well. In behavior, you will be able to find people, what their behavior is online. For example, what are their digital activities, new active business less than 6 months. This was the one I was talking about. They are expats, people who have lived in Brazil, people who have lived in Algeria, Argentina, Australia, and things like that. So similarly, the example I was telling you about Western Union, they're having offers on if you transfer money from UAE to Egypt, you can be part of a big offer. So similarly, in that case, you will go here, target UAE, and then come here and target people who have lived in Egypt, which means people who are in UAE now, but they have lived in Egypt. Probably they'll be sending money home. You have to come up with creative ideas how to use these target audience, but I want you to go through all of this. There are a lot of other options available, which is like consumer classification. For example, you can go to India and you can target people who prefer high value goods, people who prefer mid and high value goods. So you can target people who only basically are rich people and things like that. There's a lot of options available here. I will not go through each of them. I want you to go there and explore. But once I'm kind of done with this kind of selecting my audience, I'll have one more look. Okay, the audience looks fairly broad. These are 7.5 to 22k reach per day, 24 to 70 leads per day. It's basically estimated. Looks good so far for this ad group. And once you're done with that, before saving the audiences, you have two more options. One is advantage detailed targeting. Now what this does is Facebook tells you, if you check this box, if I select OK, what happens is, what Facebook does is it says, okay, beyond whatever you have selected as targeting, we might find people who are outside this targeting, but they might still be able to buy your courses. The Facebook algorithm will find audiences which are not in your target audience, but they probably will buy your courses. Now, in most of the cases, it performs better. I personally have done, my team has done a lot of tests, and this always has, in most of the cases, let's say 90% of the cases, it improves the performance. But if you don't want to use it for any reason, you just want to target only specific audiences, it's okay. And then you will have languages. You can target certain languages. So enter a language to show your ads to people who use a language that isn't common to your location. Otherwise, leave this blank. Now, this language option is useful in certain cases. Generally, you should put it blank because you anyways are targeting whole India. Let's say in India, the people speak a lot of languages. But then in certain cases, let's say I'm at Chinese hotel in UAE and I'm only want to target Chinese tourists. In that case, I'll target UAE and I will add Chinese language here. And because my ads might be in Chinese only, so I just want to target Chinese speakers and reach out to basically people only who speak Chinese, Mandarin, and that case I can use the language. And once you're done with your audience, the next option is placements, which we will discuss in the next video. I hope this video was helpful in any way. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next one.